You may have realized that being healthy feels different than it did in the past now that you're over 50. If you want to maximize your health potential but don't have time to read through overwhelming pages of Google links, this is the show for you. Welcome to Healthy Tips After 50. We love doing the research, finding solutions, talking to health experts, and learning what works and what doesn't. Now, your host. She spent the last 25 years dedicated to feeling her best and is here to share her best findings with you, Susan Rosen.
Hello, everyone. This is your host, Susan Rosen, and my guest today is MK Stahl. I hope I pronounced that right. And MK is a busy mom, wife, and the community manager for the Fit Body franchise, which she is going to tell us all about today. But MK, sorry. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit more about yourself and what brought you to this area, I guess, of fitness.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. So I started as a client at a Fit Body Bootcamp location many, many years ago. At the time, I've always loved fitness and exercise and health, nutrition, everything about it. I was a big runner and I still am. And I was running in a running group with a good friend, and she mentioned that there was a new gym in town and that I should check it out with her. And it was Fit Body Bootcamp. And so I had never been to a group fitness studio before. I had taken group fitness classes in like a big box gym, but never like a studio specifically just for group fitness. And so I didn't really know what to expect. And I went in for my first session and I fell in love. And it wasn't just the workout, because you can get a good workout anywhere. It was more of the community, the culture, the coaches, that accountability that I had, and the motivation from other people working out around you. And so it really helped keep me motivated to show up for myself. It was, a few years after graduating college. I was in that, I had just gotten married. My husband and I had just purchased our first home. Like, we were kind of in that stage of life where we were establishing routines for the first time. We were getting acclimated to like the new area that we were living in. And so finding a fitness studio that I could like build friendships and community and have that level of accountability was so important for me. And it really helped me grow in my personal journey and my fitness journey. And so I, start going to Fit Body Bootcamp very regularly. And one day I came home and I told my husband, I said, you know what? Why don't we open up our own Fit Body Bootcamp location? And my husband was a physical therapist. He still is, but he was practicing physical therapy. And he's like, well, here's a few reasons why we shouldn't do this. Well, we don't have any money. We just got married. We don't have any money. We don't have any business experience. You don't have a background in fitness. You don't even know, like, you're not even a personal trainer. I know you're passionate about it, but how do you think we're going to pull this together? And so we just, start looking into the business model and talking about it more. And we hopped on the phone with the Fit Body Bootcamp headquarters, which is based in California. There's over 250 locations nationwide. And so it started in 2008. It's, small group personal training with a coach. It's a coach-led fitness boot camp. And so we started talking to them on the phone. And one thing led to the next. We flew out to California. We did the new owner training. We signed our franchise agreement. And then we got home and started looking for a location. And that, I would say, that's the most challenging part in the beginning, is like, okay, you have this idea, you want to start this business. Now, where are you going to put it? That was very challenging at the time. So we found a great location. And I guess from the time I started as a client to when we opened our first location, it was about an 8-month timeline. So it happened very, very quickly.
Yeah, it happened very
quickly. So so since then, my husband and I have opened up 3 locations. I'm now the community manager for the franchise. So I work on their marketing team, and I'm the host of the Beyond the Scale podcast. And the podcast is for all of our clients and our community at Fit Body. We talk about everything related to health and fitness beyond the scale. So that's kind of my background in a nutshell.
Wow. Wow. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about the actual Fit Body places,
Yes.
themselves. I
So
mean, how does
yeah.
that work?
So we really specialize in fat loss, and the majority of our clientele are women, middle-aged women. I would say about 75% of our clientele are women or female. Most of the time when we have a male client, it is a wife that started coming to boot camp. She fell in love with it, and then she dragged her husband in, and then he ends up falling in love with it as well. But no, there's something about men, like they feel like they're just, too macho to work out in a group setting with a bunch of other people. They need to just do it on their own. So sometimes it's hard to convince men. But boot camp, it's 30 minutes and it's a high intensity interval training, and it's a different workout every single day. So you're never going to feel bored, or it's never going to feel repetitive, because it's always something different. And our coaches program the workout for you. They program it a week in advance. So you have your strength days, you'll have your upper body days, your lower body days, you'll have a metabolic conditioning day, a cardio day. And so you'll have a bunch of different things mixed in throughout the week. And the way the program is set up, it's really set up for someone who can come anywhere from 3 to 5 times per week. And you're going to get a really good workout every single time you come. And what I loved about it is that it was only 30 minutes. Like, most people can fit 30 minutes into their day. And we have sessions in the morning, and then we have sessions in the evening. So we try to make it where you can't find any excuse as to why you can't come, because we offer so many sessions and it's so quick.
And so are all of these sessions in a class thing, or are they one-on-one, or
It's small. So it's personal training in a small group setting. So most of our studios, every studio is a little bit different depending on their layout. Most studios can hold anywhere from 25 to 40 clients in a session at once. And so you have an app on your phone, and you book your session in advance. And I always tell my clients, like, book your session just like you would book a doctor's appointment. Like, put it on your calendar, because then you are going to show up for it. And so we make our clients do that. And you come in, 5 minutes before your session, we do some light stretching, a warm up. Then the coach will explain what the workout is that day. And then as you're doing the workout, there's usually a series of stations that you'll rotate around to. And that coach, you'll have anywhere from 1 to 3 coaches on the floor with the clients. And they will walk around and they'll correct your form. They'll modify the workout if there's something that you can't do. And they'll make sure that, you're getting a good workout. They're meeting you where you're at and your fitness level. And so every day it's like that. And then at the end, we'll do like a cool down, some stretching together, and just kind of meet back together in the middle. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So it sounds like you must have a pretty big space.
Yeah. Most of our facilities are anywhere from 2,500 to 4,000 square feet. So they're pretty large.
And then the usual showers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we have some studios have, full locker rooms with showers, but most studios, we have the equipment that we offer is like dumbbells, we have battle ropes, we have a TRX. Some of our locations have assault bikes and skiers. It really just depends on the location, but in terms of our programming, we pretty much all do the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So what is I don't know what you call it, a retention rate, or, because I'm sure, just for myself, I can't tell you how many times I've joined gyms, and now my husband drags me, but that's it,
Yeah, that's a great question. And at Fit Body Bootcamp, and again, this is kind of, going back to when I was a client, which the fact that I was a client really helped me in my ownership journey, because I knew what the coaches, how the coaches treated me and how it felt. And so one thing that we really pride ourselves on at Fit Body is our clients are not just a number. We really get to know our clients. And so how that works is if you sign up for a 28-day trial, which is what a lot of our members start off on. So they'll sign up for a 28-day trial. It's usually a low price. So for an entire month, you can come as many times as you would like. But before you come, what we do is we do a new member orientation. And so you're going to come in on, usually most locations, it's on a Monday. You'll come in for 30 minutes and you'll meet a few of the coaches. You'll go over everything that you need to know for boot camp, and we'll learn a little bit more about you. And so like, why are you coming to boot camp? What is it that motivates you? What do you need help with? Maybe you just had a baby and you're trying to lose, 30 pounds from where you gained that when you were pregnant, or maybe you're older and you haven't worked out in 10, 15 years. Or maybe you had a surgery recently and you need a lot of modifications. Those are things that we really want to know and we need to know to make sure we can meet you where you're at in your fitness journey. And we can guarantee that you're not going to come in that first session in that first week and get like injured or go too hard and you'll feel burnout. So we don't want that to happen. So we really get to know our clients on a personal level. And so then what we do is we take it a step even further. What our coaches do every single week is they run reports to see who's coming and who's not. And if you're not coming, you're going to get a text message from us, an email, a phone call, and we're going to say, hey, you signed up for boot camp because you want to lose 15 pounds, but I haven't seen you in a week. So how's that going? What do you need help with? How can I get you in here? And so that is one thing that we do really well with. And how we can do that is, our studios don't have 1,000, 2,000 people like a big box gym. We have, a few hundred people. And when a new location is starting out, you grow one by one organically. So it's a lot easier to develop that relationship. When I first started as an owner, years and years ago, I knew every single person that came through my doors. Now, then when I started hiring other people and I stepped out and opened up a second location, that was a little bit more difficult. But when I did, I told my coaches, hey, listen, if I'm not here, you're the one that has to build this relationship, and you need to know who these people are. And so that's one way that we can help with the retention. In terms of like the retention rate and how long we keep people, usually an average membership life cycle is anywhere from like 6 to 9 months. So it's pretty good. That's the average. So we have, of course, 50% are more than that, which is great.
So if I'm hearing you right, it's kind of like there are those people, and this is every gym, I think, those people that come in, join, and are there for life.
Right.
I mean, they're just not a problem. It's just part of their routine. And then there's probably a lot of other people who are everywhere else in between. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And unfortunately, there's no way around that. That's always how it's going to be in this industry. I wish we could convince. Yeah. I wish we could convince more people to see it as like, fitness is just a part of your lifestyle and you should really be in it for the long game. But there are so many people today that they want those short-term, quick results. They want to get it over with. They want to do it fast. And then they are going to either stop doing everything altogether or they're going to move on to something else. And again, I think that has to do with your personality as well.
Yeah, probably. And what the goal is.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Yeah. It's no, that's not the right word. So I'm still trying to get the picture of. So is it like, so it's a group that people come in and then maybe there's things that they end up doing during the session where they're off by themselves, or is that?
Yeah. So most gyms, like you'll walk in and you have like your nice lobby area with a front desk and a retail section. Mm-hmm. And then you'll have a big, wide open room. And in this room, we have carpet bonded flooring. It's called Dollarmer flooring, and it's great for your joints. So if you're doing any kind of jumping, it's wonderful for jumping. My husband being a physical therapist, that was one of the things that he loved about Fit Body was how great the equipment is for everyone. It wasn't just like elite athletes that we were targeting. And so we have the carpet flooring, and then we have throughout the room, we'll have on the outside, we might have like a TRX or a rig set up where you'll do like the resistance training. So we'll have that. Then we'll have a rack of dumbbells. We'll have slam balls. We'll have kettlebells. Some locations have sleds or skiers, or rowers. So we'll have those. And so we'll have that set up in the room. And then you'll have like whiteboards all over the room as well. And that's where the coaches will write up, at this station, we're going to do dumbbell curls and squats. And at this station, we're going to do TRX rows and jumping jacks. And so all of the stations, will be set up in the room. And so when you come in, you'll go out into the floor, you'll put your stuff in a cubby or a locker. You'll go out into the floor and you'll wait for your session to begin. And the coach will have a microphone on so that you can hear them loud and clear.
Okay.
And you'll do your warm up. They'll tell you like, okay, we're going to start with some jumping jacks. We're going to start with some squats and just some, light stretching. So you'll do that together. And then they'll go over what all the stations are for the day. And then they're going to start a timer. So most locations have like a really large gym clock, and it has where you can program what the workout is for the day. So it'll beep again, and then it'll beep again when you take a break. So you'll have like a series of anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute at one station doing a set of moves, and then you'll rotate on to a next station. And the coach will walk you through the entire thing. So of course, your first session, most people are kind of looking around like a chicken with their head cut off because they're like, oh my goodness, where am I supposed to go? But that's where that Monday night orientation kind of helps out, is we'll explain to them, this is what you're going to be doing so that they don't feel so lost. But every single day, it's like set up like stations like that.
Okay. And then they change the
so the workout changes. The workout changes every day. At the end of all of the sessions in the evening, the coaches will set up the room and set up the boards for the next day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so tell me a little bit more about, is there any difference between, the younger people and us older people?
That's a great question.
Because there is.
Yeah. So Fit Body Bootcamp really is for all fitness levels, meaning we have college age members who are maybe athletes, we have people that are in their 60s and 70s, but we also have a program at many Fit Body Bootcamp locations. Not every single location has this, but many of them do. And it's called Fit Body Forever. And Fit Body Forever is Fit Body Bootcamp, but it's slower paced. And it's 45 minutes instead of 30, because the coaches slow things down to make sure you're having an adequate time to recover and rest in between your sets, in between your stations. They're making sure that they can watch you more closely so that you're not going to get injured. And we are going to do a slow progression towards that goal that you have. And they're really just going to spend that time that they can't necessarily get in only 30 minutes with a full class of boot campers. And so Fit Body Forever is a smaller group of people in a session, and it's a little bit longer. And it's typically our clientele that are 55 and up. But we also have clients that are younger than 55 that maybe had like an injury, or they've recently recovered from a surgery, and they need a slower paced workout as well. So that program is wonderful. Before each client starts that program, we also do a functional movement screening so that we can make sure we understand, like, if you cannot do a squat, we're not going to have you pick up a kettlebell and start doing kettlebell squats. And the last thing we want too is a coach that maybe doesn't know you very well come in, coach a session, and have clients doing something that they're not even sure if they know how to do that. So we'll never have that either. So you would get that at any big box gym. So how we combat that is we have certain coaches that are certified to coach these specific sessions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I can see where it could get frustrating, I think, probably for people. Right?
Oh, definitely. There's nothing worse than when a client comes in and they're not properly onboarded into the program, and they're thrown to the wolves, and they're doing a session where they don't know what to expect. They haven't been given the overview. They don't know anybody in the session. They don't know the coaches. And when you have an experience like that, that's when they don't want to come back, because that's just too overwhelming. And so we really try to take all of those pieces away and make sure that our clients are coming in and we always say this, we say, first session, just give it 50% because I want you to understand what's going on more than I want you to be like killing yourself in this workout and then being like, what was that?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the next time you come in, you're like, uh-oh, where was I supposed to start?
Right.
What am I supposed to do? Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I can appreciate the, excuse me, the fact that you do change it up every day. Because I know, I mean, I go to a gym, small gym, and I just always do the same stuff every time.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's probably not, yeah. Well, my motivation is my husband because
that's great.
He's been a big athlete his whole life. And so, like, quarterback of the football team and all of that.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So he drags me.
That's good. You have an accountability partner.
I guess that's one way of describing it. But,
or a drill sergeant.
No, he doesn't do that. He just gets me there and then he goes off and does his stuff and I do my stuff. So, yeah. But I always find it interesting anyways, just to watch the people and who's there and the different ages.
Oh, definitely.
And who's working with some of the coaches.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, or trainers. Yeah. Yeah. It's, but I'm curious about people anyways. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing this podcast, right? So how did you get into the business end?
With like the franchise? Yeah. So it really started when I started having kids, honestly. So when I first opened the location, it was very much my thing, like coaching on the floor with the clients every day. I got my personal training certification. I, tried to learn as much as I could when you're passionate about something and you love something, it's very different than, someone going to school with a formal education. And so I felt so excited about this industry that I was going into and about this opportunity that it was easy for me to take the time to learn more about it. So that was easy for me. And so I did that. And then when I started having children, when I had my daughter, after I had her, I, figured out a way that I could still go in and I could coach. And my husband and I, we would just kind of split up our time together and he would watch her while I'd go coach and I would watch her while he had to go work in his physical therapy job. But then when we had our son, I really had to figure out a way to replace myself. And so I got pretty good at recruiting leaders within our facilities. And I recruited some really great leaders to run our locations. And once I did that, and once parenting 2 children started to get easier, once my son turned 1, I kind of had this moment where I was like, okay, so I have somebody leading all of these locations now. I'm no longer needed like I used to be. I can pretty much work from home now, even though I was still going into my locations every day to work out, to see people. But I was like, what can I do now? Like, what can I do to serve? What can I do to add value to others people's lives, which in turn will add value to mine? And so I reached out to the Fit Body Bootcamp headquarters, and I'm good friends with the CEO. And I said, listen, Fit Body Bootcamp completely changed my life. Like, it provided me opportunities for my life that I never would have had if we wouldn't have become entrepreneurs and small business owners. And so how can I help other people do the same? And so what I do now is, I have the podcast where we talk about health and fitness, but on the podcast, I also talk about entrepreneurship and becoming your own boss, taking risks, living a life that is all in your control. And so I talk a lot about that, but then I also help people who maybe you're exploring having your own Fit Body Bootcamp location, but you have questions, you're a little bit nervous. And so I'll talk to people about that and kind of help them through that process.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like you're really enjoying moving into that.
Yes, I do. I love the business side and over the years, as our businesses grew, my husband, he ended up kind of retiring from his physical therapy job, and he's PRN now, and he goes in as needed at a certain clinic, but he was able to work in our business full time with me. And as we have grown as a couple and business owners together, I have really developed like a strong liking for the business side, the back end. And he really loves marketing and recruiting new clients into the gym and the computer, and the Facebook and the Instagram. And it's so funny because it didn't start that way. And so it's just over the years, you've gotten better, and we've realized, like, when you're first working together as a couple, you're both trying to do everything at the same time together. And we realized over a few years, it's like, okay, we can't be working on the same things. We have to divide and conquer to make this work. And that's what we end up doing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I think that's with any partnership, right? Whether it's couples or just people who are in partnership in a business.
Right.
You know, it works well or better when people have kind of different interests.
Yeah, I heard something the other day, actually, they were saying you should never go into business with someone who has the same skill set as you. And it had me thinking, because, you know, too often I hear, as someone who talks to people interested in franchise ownership, I'll hear someone say, oh, well, I have a potential partner who's like my best friend, and, you know, we have all these things, you know, in common. And I'm like, you actually want to go and partner with someone who's like really good at something you're not good at, because that's how you're going to work well together.
Well, and that you don't like as well, right?
Yeah.
Because if you both love certain parts of a business,
right,
that's what you gravitate towards.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Interesting. I think that's why so many couples who go into business together either end up getting divorced, or they change up things in the business.
Yeah. And that's what my husband and I had to do too. Cause like we recognized that about, I would say, at like year 4 of owning the businesses together, we just kind of were like, okay, something's got to give here. What are you going to do? What am I going to do? We're not doing everything together.
Yeah.
But then we laugh, because like just the other day, I still run payroll, and I still do some simple things that I could easily contract out, but it's just like second nature to me at this point. And I laughed. I told him, I said, you know, if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, you don't know any of my passwords, and you don't know how to run payroll, so no one's going to get paid. So you might need to learn these things.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's funny. Yeah. Or you have to give the payroll out to some external.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, that is. And it can really wreck a marriage.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you let it.
Yeah, for sure. So, no, I think you guys are lucky, and you're I like your awareness of these things out there, and not like, oh yeah, let's do all this together.
Right.
Yeah. And it actually applies to any marriage. It doesn't even have to do with having a business or anything. It's even
definitely.
doing stuff around the house, right?
Right. You can't be the only one responsible for everything. And then at the same time, you can't both be responsible for everything together. It is good to kind of set those boundaries and figure out, like, what does your significant other enjoy doing? What is easy for them that might not be easy for you? An example of that would be, I have ADHD, and so there are certain tasks in which really stress me out that wouldn't stress out an average person. So like just going to the grocery store for something, if I have a bunch of things on my plate, could kind of just throw a wrench in my entire day. And so about 6 months ago, my husband and I kind of came up with I can't talk right now. We came up with a solution, which was, I would make the list, and he would always go to the grocery store. And when I just make the list for him of the groceries that we need, or even just errands that need to be run, it takes it off of my plate, out of my mind, and then it doesn't stress me out. And so he does all of that. And it's really funny because I used to like love to go to the grocery store, but then it became one of those things where I was like, I just don't have time to do it. And so now that he does it, it really helps out.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think the I think the message here is that if you're going to go into any kind of a business or project or whatever with your other half, or however you want to call that other person, you need to kind of set up the rules at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely.
You can always change them, but
oh yeah,
start with something.
Yeah.
And I think partners that way as well. You know, even if you're not married, people always go into it and think, "Oh, this is so going to be so much fun," and "Oh, we're going to have," no, it's still work.
Yeah.
You may love it, you may love what you're doing, you may love the people you're with, but it's still work. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Having been through that myself, I totally understand. So, so I don't know, is there anything else having to do with all this that you'd like to talk about, or is there,
I think your audience, a lot of the people that listen to your show, we discussed this before the episode together today, were, middle-aged women or older women. And I think right now what I'm seeing a lot of in the gym with our clients, we spoke briefly about, retention and people that are, coming in short term, but not long term. I think one thing that I see a lot of people do today that's a mistake that they make when they're trying to start something new with their health and their fitness journey is that they do not look at fitness as a part of their lifestyle. They look at it as something that is taking away from their day instead of adding to it. And so I think if you really approach it as, this is something that's enhancing my life, that's a part of my daily routine, and you just make it a part of you, a part of, just like brushing your teeth. It's like second nature. You're going to just do it every day, get 30 minutes of movement, whether it go to boot camp, go to a gym, or just go for a walk down the street. If you just make that a part of your daily routine, no matter what, and it doesn't matter if it's the same time every day, like you don't have to have this glorious routine that you stick with. It's really just, if you can make that 30 minutes for yourself every single day, or at least 5 days a week, it's so much easier to sustain for, the long term than if you look at it as, I need to lose 15 pounds. I want to do it right now. I'm going to, put myself through the ringer. I'm going to start going to these boot camp sessions. I'm going to do it every single day. And if you look at it that way, that's how you quickly get burnt out and you quickly want to give up. And so I think if people could just really approach fitness as a part of their lifestyle, just like brushing your teeth, just like watching your 30-minute TV show at the end of the day, if you could just make that a part of your routine, it's so much easier to stick with.
No, that makes a lot of sense. That definitely makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Because I think there's a lot of people who, myself included, a lot of the time, it's just a bother. Oh, I gotta go to the gym. Oh God, what am I going to do? And then I always have the same things the machines that I get on, and
Well, and I think adding variety. So like for me, I enjoy running. I play tennis very regularly, and I lift weights. I go to boot camp. And you don't have to do all three of those every single day. Like mix it up. Go play tennis twice a week, or go play golf, and then go to boot camp 2 or 3 days a week. Go for a walk a few days a week. So when you have that variety, it makes it easier to sustain it as well, so that you don't feel bored and you're just like doing the same thing, like you said.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. Well, we go for a walk almost every day.
Oh, that's great. Anyways. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, so then we put the gym on top of that, right?
Yeah.
And in addition to.
Yeah.
So, it's and it is interesting because everybody's different. Everybody's likes and dislikes, and some people like to be in a situation where it's just them.
Right.
right? And I'm not even talking about training or anything. I mean, just, they like to have the routine and do the routine.
Yeah.
And other people love being in a group.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I would say, to your point with the routine, like my mother, so she's, approaching 60. She has her
A
mother.
youngster.
So she has her mother she is now having to take care of some. And so her routine, she kind of, I would say in a way, she kind of feels like she's almost back to like, 30 years ago when she had young children, because her routine is never the same anymore, because she doesn't know when her mother might need her, or when my dad's mother might need her. And so there's, just curveballs that are being thrown in her routine. And so with that, I always encourage her, like, it doesn't matter if it's at 8 a.m., if it's at 8 p.m., it doesn't matter if it's boot camp, because she goes to Fit Body Bootcamp. She goes to Fit Body forever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's boot camp. It doesn't matter what it is. Just try to get your 30 minutes of movement in. It could even be, she has a treadmill. Like, it could be on the treadmill while you're watching TV. And so it's like, if you look at exercise as that burden, it does become one. You let it become one.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. Yeah. And I totally understand what your mom's going through, because I went through that with my mom. And yeah, it's very easy to get overwhelmed.
Yes. Yeah, she gets very overwhelmed easily. And it's sad because, I have young children and she wants to spend as much time as she can with them. But it'll be, a day where she'll say, I have nothing going on. I'm going to come pick up your kids and we're going to go do something fun. And then she could be on the way here and my grandmother could call and say, oh, I need you to help me. And then my grandmother doesn't understand why she can't drop everything and just come help her. And so then it's like she's stuck in the middle. I know you understand. It's a difficult time.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And it's like everything else, you need to put up boundaries.
Yep.
And set up, which actually, would be better. We're getting on a whole different subject. But I think that's one of the things that women in particular, especially your mom's generation, my generation, never learned.
Right. Yeah.
I think your generation is a lot better about doing that.
I think that's because my generation talks about it more. I think, we have these social media platforms that weren't popular, 25 years ago. And we're always talking about boundaries and, setting your expectations and, turning your away message on and things like that, where it wasn't talked about as much.
No, not at all. Well, and a lot of women, your mom's an age and my age. I mean, I'm 68, so
yeah,
a little ahead of her. But we weren't raised to think that we were going to have a job and a family and.
Yeah.
Right. And trying to maneuver all of that was not something that we learned.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a good point.
Yeah. And, and we always felt more responsible,
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways. Yeah. So I'm writing a book about it, actually.
Oh, awesome.
Giving some, 10 different things to, to do to kind of even yourself back out.
Oh, awesome.
So, yeah, I'm excited. So, any closing things you'd like to talk about? We covered a lot.
I don't think so.
Okay. And then if people are interested in trying to find out if there's a Fit Body, is it Fit Body Bootcamp? Is that what it's called?
Fit Body Bootcamp. Yes. So you can go to fitbodybootcamp.com and you can put in your zip code and you'll see if there's a location close to you. And as I mentioned earlier, most locations, they have a 28-day trial. So you can start out with that and come as many times as you want within that month just to see if you like it. And then a coach will follow up with you if you sign up for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Good.
Yeah.
So I will have to look into, I'm sure there's one somewhere around where I am. I think there is.
I'm sure there is. There's a lot on the West Coast.
Yeah. No, I think I've driven by it somewhere. Are they a lot of the times in like shopping centers and stuff like
They
that?
are, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's where I saw it, was at the shopping center. So, okay. Well, thank you very much for coming on. Really appreciate you taking the time, and lots of
you so much for
interesting
having me.
information. And I will say the usual, which is that neither of us are doctors, and this is not to be seen as medical advice. And with that, I will be seeing everybody next week.
This has been Healthy Tips After 50 with Susan Rosen. To stay on the cutting edge of the most effective health strategies, subscribe to this podcast and let us know what you thought of the show with a comment or like on iTunes. Visit healthytipsafter50.com for this episode's show notes, more resources, and free offers.